was a hard-fought victory, and we knew it would be. Anytime you're playing Ohio State, you're going to have to play through a lot of things. You're going to have to play through some momentum swings. You're going to have to play through some lulls. Their defense is tremendous. They've got 3 seniors in that starting lineup that have won a lot of games, played a lot of minutes, and been a part of some incredible experiences. And they've done an excellent job with Mark Loving, and D'Angelo is certainly everything that he's billed to be. I think we all knew that, as he was coming up in high school. And Shannon Scott played like a 10-year pro. I mean, I think he will be. I think people forget that he was a McDonald's All-American and just how good he is. But I know we've got to go play him again, but he is really, really good. And the bottom line in this game is that with his penetration and with his ability to score, we could not put a lot of different help on him because he's such a good passer. And the biggest key right now when you're playing Ohio State is you've got to get back in transition, and at times we didn't do a very good job of that. But we did defend the 3, and we did defend pretty well. We knew we needed to win the rebound game. We did by 9. We wanted to win the free throw attempt game. We won that by 1. We had to have excellent 3-point defense against them. We did. Mark Loving was shooting 62% from 3 on the road. D'Angelo Russell was shooting, I believe, 53% in wins for them from the 3. And to hold those 2 to 1 and 10, and then you add Cam Williams in there, who is a tremendous shooter in his own right, was a key for us. So not a fluid offensive game. Ohio State's they're not gonna give you a fluid offensive game, but we found ways to make plays. Our offensive rebounding was much better. We're asking Yogi to do an awful lot and to match up with a guy with the size and the ability of D'Angelo Russell, and to have that matchup for the most part, and at the same time have to direct his team was big. I thought Robert Johnson did an excellent job defensively. James Blackman got better inside of the game. We're asking him to guard a senior that's quick and can do a lot of different things. But really the energy of our team at the key moments, Colin's energy, the way Troy rebounded and defended, and Emmett came in and gave us some really solid minutes. Hunter did fine. He just said there's too much foul trouble. You know right now he gets at first, and all of a sudden that second is there right away, and we've got to help him with that. But we got a lot of good basketball from a lot of guys. But when I say that I think we've got as good a two-way guard as there is in the country at being able to play both ends of the court, okay? And Yogi Tene is another reason why I say that, because and Shannon Scott's tremendous too. Don't get me wrong, but Yogi wants those challenges. He wants those. It doesn't matter the size of the guy. That's how Victor was. And when you're the best defender, you've got to go take that. We mix defenses and things of that nature, but the way D'Angelo Russell's been playing, and for us to know that we have to really, really key our plan on him and Mark Loving, I thought our guys handled that well, and our crowd was great, and our crowd was fantastic, and it helped us throughout the entire game. And it was a game where we held momentum a little bit longer, and fortunately that helped us. So, go ahead. Rick?
A little bit of a choppy start. It seemed like Zeisloff and Hartman really kind of
turned it around. Yeah, that's momentum. I mean, you never know, where it's going to come from. And we needed some energy at the beginning of the game. And somebody's got to establish their will, early on in the game. And Ohio State did, and we didn't match it. And then we go to the bench, and we did. Now, with that being said, those guys really came in and Troy did a great job after that. And James learned a lot in this game. James, he's right there on the first couple lines of the scouting report. There's no doubt about that with the opponent, right? So everybody knows that he's capable of shooting. But for him to continue to play, when he went back in, he knew he needed to play better defensively. That's growth for James. For James to find layups and drives and get fouled and get 3 offensive rebounds, that's the growth you've got to have. And I thought he did a really good job of adjusting, as did Troy. So Colin and Nick came in and did a fantastic job of getting us going. But Troy and James adjusted to it, and they played very well. Robert just continues to be steady, and he's going to continue to get better. I mean, he really is. We're asking an awful lot of him and James for young players, with what they need to do. And certainly they're doing the same with D'Angelo. But But those guys are keys for us. So you've got to have people that can come in and create that momentum. And again, you never know who it's going to be. And fortunately, we got that when we subbed.
Mike? For a team that's struggled to consistently rebound, as you guys have this year, I mean, what was the difference today? Was it just a matter of 1-2? Or?
I don't know. You know, after Louisville, we were +9 in the rebound margin going into the Michigan State game. So we made really good improvements there. And then in that game, we didn't rebound it very well at all. We blocked out decently, but we didn't go to the offensive glass. Today, there was much more of a, we have to get more offensive rebound. We got to be a gang rebounding team on both ends of the court. So we've got to be a really good blockout team, ball pursuit team on the defensive end. But our guards have got to get offensive rebounds, okay? And James is our third leading rebounder, second leading rebounder on the team, and he can be a much better offensive rebounder. Nick Zeisloff's got to be a much better offensive rebounder. Rob, not as much, because we've really, in this league, and especially, we've got to get better in transition defense. You know, we worked very, very hard on it this week. We work hard on it all the time, but we really worked hard on it this week after Michigan State, and they still got some. So you've got to be a little bit careful there, but the guys that need to go, they need to go, and they need to go consistently. So I think as that continues to get through, we'll become a better rebounding team. But certainly after Louisville, we made tremendous strides.
Zach? I asked the players this too a little bit. Was there a moment where this group maybe recognized that this wasn't going to be the fluid shooting performance that you've had, wasn't going to be the highest scoring game, was going to be one that they maybe had to win at the free throw line with rebounds, just not with a super high scoring offense?
We don't talk like that. I mean, they might think like that, but no, I think they learned a lot, you know, this week. In that game at Michigan State, obviously to win a game like today, you have to grow from that, right? Because it wasn't going very well for us offensively there. And we missed more open shots in the Michigan State game than we did today. In my mind, I may change my mind after I see the proof in the film, but just from watching the game. So, no, I think it's more about momentum than it is that. It's continuing to play through things constantly. And I thought we did a little bit we were losing our energy a little bit. And that Troy dunk just brought everybody. It brought the fans up, but it certainly brought our team up. And not the dunk that he had. That was a pretty spectacular dunk, too, that he had early off the set play. But the breakaway, no, that was big. And I think that helped us. So you need those doses of energy that create more momentum. And we just talk about continuing to get good shots. We just talk about continuing to come off screens. We just talk about continuing to cut. And we're not talking as much about, hey, the shot's not going, let's do this. They're recognizing that in the game. But again, here's the growth of James Blackman. He ends up with 18 today, okay? What did he shoot from 3? 1 of 5, right? So all those other points came because he was hustling, because he was getting to the lane, which was putting him at the line, and he got some at the end. He got some layups. And he had one of the toughest assignments he's ever had in trying to guard Shannon Scott. I can't say enough about how good Shannon Scott's going to be. I mean, he is so much better than over the last couple of years. They do a great job of getting their guys better. I mean, that's obvious, but he's so much better. And I wish we could have had a little bit different game plan for him. But when you've got to guard the 3, like you have to guard on that team, knowing Shannon can make them too, but when you've got to guard the 3, you can't put a lot of double coverage, and you can't have a lot of help situations on Shannon Scott, and he took advantage of that.
Bob?
Tom,
Sure.
When you had to take Hanner out with his third, they elected to go small instead of leaving Amir in there. Do you think not having that big body in there helped your offense from any?
Well, nah, I don't know, because we would have probably still had to guard him a little bit smaller. We would have gone with Colin Hartman on him. You know, Colin has to guard those people for us. And Emmett's getting better at it.
I mean, help your offense.
No, well, I don't know. I guess here's the right question. I don't know if it made a difference. You know, Kata Bates' job is good. Is that who did he put in for him?
Either Tate or John.
Yeah, Tate. Is that the best game Tate's played?
Pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he's good, right? I mean, there's a reason he was ranked the way he was. He's good, and he played hard. So those guys, you know, when they can drive it, I think Tate got us on some drives a couple of times. Kata Bates' job in the Miami of Ohio game had 5 offensive boards. I mean, so you know you've got to block him out. So I think they can go a lot of different ways. So I don't know if it affected them at all. They were hard to guard the entire game.
It just seemed like your lane that you were driving opened up a few times for the drivers.
That's probably true. I think what happens with Amir, because of the way they block shots and the way that they get steals, you know, their steal percentage, their block percentage is really high. Their defensive field goal percentage is really high. we learned, and we're learning better, but we learned in the Louisville game, you don't go in there and attack shot blockers, you know, on the drive. And Amir, Trey to a degree, but Amir, and Anthony Lee's got that in him, but you've got to keep the ball moving when you drive on Amir. So maybe that affected it a little bit. I'll have to go back and watch the film, but I didn't see a drop off for them. The biggest thing you have to deal with Ohio State is how they attack the basketball. And they come off the wings, they come off the elbows, they'll come out of the corner. They're going to attack the ball. And you've always got to get ready for that with them. And so it's that more than it's anything else, no matter how good their front line is.
Pete?
Tom, you know, you talked after the Michigan State game about needing to get mentally tougher. And at the end of the game, 3 minutes left, it's a 2-point game, 1-point game. You guys showed the toughness to win. Are you seeing the growth in that?
Sure, yeah, but I think it's like anything else. It takes time to get it consistent. We've been getting mentally tougher all year long, right? But that doesn't mean it's consistent. You know, when it's really there is when it becomes part of who you are. And we're growing in that. We're definitely growing in that. And I thought our talk improved during the game. I thought the leadership at the timeouts improved during the game. Troy is, when I know when he's locked in, when he's coming up with some things during the game, and I'm not filtering it. I'm saying, yeah, okay, let's do it. Because he sees the game. You know, he really does. And that's why I want him so hard to be better, because he really has a tremendous basketball sense. Now he doesn't always follow his own process. Sometimes when he's driving the ball and some of the decisions, but when he's really locked in, there's little different ways that, you know, come in some dialogue on the bench or come in some dialogue at a timeout. You know, with him seeing something in the game, that's exciting. So that's mental toughness too. You know, now the key is, did we get that on Monday night at Michigan State? No, we didn't. So the mental toughness becomes something. Can you play over your own distractions, your own disappointment, and still keep going? And that's when you really know you're getting mentally tough.
Okay, Jeremy?
Just to kind of follow up on that, the leadership thing, did you see that more where you'd like to see it after?
It's always ongoing. I think when those, you know, like I've said to these guys, if we come out of practice or games and we're extremely happy and there's not a lot of things to improve upon, I probably need to quit or they need to transfer. You know, seriously. I mean, that's not what I'm here for. That's not what they need me for. They need to know we need to be in a situation every day where we're holding them accountable for what we see in them, all right, for what we see their capabilities of being. And this program is one that we don't see very many low ceilings. If we saw low ceilings, we wouldn't have the lottery picks. We wouldn't have, I think we're one right behind now in Kansas, right?
Yep.
One behind in Kansas in the last 3+ years in top 25 wins. So you don't get those wins if you let them hit ceilings. So you just keep pushing it. So in long answer to your question, our leadership can get better. It will get better. We're pushing the envelope with a couple of guys. But again, like the comment I made about Troy, when he's locked in and seeing the game that way, that's leadership too. You know, it may not be boisterous out on the court, but that's tremendous leadership. So it comes a lot of different ways. It's not all about verbal. It's not all about rah-rah. It's not all about backslapping. A lot of times it's just being able to remind your teammate of something. I thought they did a good job of that today.
Okay, we're going to finish up with Zach, Jeff, and then Terry.
This is kind of
We don't have 8 more after that?
No.
this is kind of procedural, but I think Stan has switched back to shooting free throws left-handed.
You caught that, huh?
Yeah, I think in the Michigan State game first, but is that a total reversion back to going left-handed, or kind of where is that?
I love Stan. I think Stan wants to do well. Stan is in that gym so much, and he wants to be so good. And he's like a lot of, here's James Blackman the other day. We practice, okay, it's over, we lift weights, he goes back in and he shoots. I think I said this yesterday at the press conference. I go recruiting that night, I get back here about 9:30, he's out there in full go on that gun. I mean, those kids are in there. You know, so Stan wants to do well, and he's getting better. He's more comfortable with it right now. I didn't tell him to switch to his right hand, all right? And again, you know, my bottom line is, okay, let's shoot it with the proper form, proper technique, but it needs to go in, okay? And I thought when he stepped up there, and did he make both free throws?
I think he made one.
Well, yeah, one's better than going over 2, so that's progress. But that's his choice. Go ahead, Jeff. Am I in order, JD?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do you think Troy was so much more productive today than he was in Michigan State?
Because he was embarrassed about the way he played. Because he's got a lot of internal pride. And he listens. All right, he's growing up. I mean, so the mental toughness part of it. Now, does that mean he's going to play well on Tuesday night? I wish it did. You know, that's part of the youth part of this. It doesn't mean that, but he's not rationalizing. Okay, we talk to these guys a lot about fact and fiction. You know, there's a lot of fiction out there. You know, they can hear it, they can read it in the sense of social media. They can hear it from somebody telling them, you're this, you're that, you should be doing this, you should do that. Then that film and those practices, now that's the facts. You know, what you're doing. And Troy's doing a better job of that. He's doing a better job of really trying to embrace it. His uncle is doing a very good job. His aunt, who coaches at Auburn, they do a really good job of keeping him, you know, with the clarity. You know, and that's what young players, any player needs it. But especially when you're growing into being the player that he is, you need that constant clarity because he's going to get it in here. And he's got to keep getting it. But he responded to the challenge. He didn't play at the end of the game on Monday night for a long time. He didn't like that. Right? And he responded to that. So I'm glad that he did.
Terry?
You talked about that they're really hard to guard.
Mm-hmm.
So how big is it that you held them to 34% shooting?
Well, it's even bigger on the three-point shooting to me because of the way they were shooting the three. And so they were, that's big. You know, and I'm sure that is, and I'll look at the film and say, okay, they missed some they usually make. That's how I felt at Michigan State. And their defense was phenomenal, right? I don't know if our defense was phenomenal. I know there was a lot of real good intent. And we'll grade it after we watch it. But the bottom line is we had really good intent. We were locked in. We couldn't make it easy, you know, for their scores. And they found some things they liked, and we had to make some adjustments, just like we found some things we liked, and they made their adjustments, and that's part of it. But we couldn't let D'Angelo, Mark Loving's numbers are like scary how good they are when he's on a roll. And we couldn't let that happen. And when you're preparing for them right now, you've got to be as concerned about Loving shooting as you do about D'Angelo Russell shooting. And at the same time, you know, you're looking at it with Shannon Scott and saying that's the guy, you know, that makes it really go. And Sam's capable. I mean, he's getting better all the time. So I think the way we defended the three and the way we were able to win the rebound game will be the biggest things for us.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.